So first, I want to talk about co-founders. Co-founder relationships are among the most important in the entire company. And everyone says that you need to watch out for tension brewing among co-founders and address it immediately, and that's all true. And certainly in YC's case, the number one cause of early death for startups is co-founder blowups. But for some reason, a lot of people treat choosing their co-founder with even less importance than they put on hiring. Don't do this. This is one of the most important decisions you make in the life of your startup, and you need to treat it as such. And for some reason, students are really bad at this. They just pick someone. They're like, I want to start a business. You want to start a business? Let's start a startup together. There are these like co-founder dating things where you're like, hey, I'm looking for a co-founder. We don't really know each other. Let's start a company. And this is like crazy. You would never hire someone like this. And yet people are willing to choose their business partners this way. It's really, really bad. And choosing a random co-founder or choosing someone you don't have a long history with, choosing someone that you're not friends with so that when things are really going wrong, you have this sort of past history to bind you together, usually ends up in disaster. We had one YC batch where 9 of about 75 companies added on a random co-founder between when we interviewed the companies and when they started, and all 9 of those teams fell apart the next year. The track record for founders that don't already know each other is really bad. A good way to meet a co-founder is in college. If you're not in college and you don't know a co-founder, the next best thing I think is to go work in an interesting company. If you work at Facebook or Google or something like that, it's probably almost as co-founder rich as Stanford. It's better to have no co-founder than to have a bad co-founder, but it's still bad to be a solo founder. I was just looking at the stats here before we started. For the top, and I may have missed one because I was counting quickly, but I think that for the top 20 most valuable YC companies, all of them have at least 2 founders. And we probably fund at a rate of something like 1 out of 10 solo teams. So best of all, founder you know, co-founder you know. Better than that, or not as good as that, but still okay, solo founder. Random founder you meet. Again, students do this for some reason. Really, really bad. So as you're thinking about co-founders and people that could be good, there's a question of what you're looking for, right? And at YC, we have this public phrase, and it's relentlessly resourceful, and everyone's heard of that. And I think that really is a very good description for what you're looking for with co-founders. You definitely need relentlessly resourceful co-founders. But there's a more colorful example that we share at the YC kickoff. Paul Graham started using this, and I've kept it going. So you're looking for co-founders that need to be unflappable, tough, they know what to do in every situation, they act quickly, they're decisive, they're creative, they're ready for anything. And it turns out that there's a model for this in pop culture. And it sounds really dumb, but it's at least very memorable. And we've told every class of YC this for a long time. And I think it helps them. And that model is James Bond. And again, this sounds crazy, but it will at least stick in your memory. And you need someone that behaves like James Bond more than you need someone that is, an expert in some particular domain. As I mentioned earlier, you really want to know your co-founders for a while, ideally years. This is true for early hires as well, but incidentally, more people get this right for early hires than they do for co-founders. So, again, take advantage of school. In addition to relentlessly resourceful, you want a tough and a calm co-founder. There are all the obvious things like smart, but everyone knows that you want a smart co-founder. Most people don't prioritize tough and calm well enough, especially if you feel like you yourself aren't. You need a co-founder who is. If you're not technical, and hopefully most people in this room are, you really want a technical co-founder. There's this weird thing going on in startups right now where it's become popular to say, like, you know what? We don't need technical founders. We're going to hire people. We're just going to be great managers. That doesn't work too well in our experience. Software people really should be starting software companies. Media people should be starting media companies. So in the YC experience, 2 or 3 co-founders seems to be about perfect. 1, obviously not great. 5, really bad. 4 works sometimes, but 2 or 3, I think, is what to target.